Finally, it's here. Hello everyone, Jared here, and this video is going to be a little different from my normal ones. As you can see by what's behind me, this isn't where I normally film, and there's a reason for that. I just got this new laptop, and I've been very excited about this. I've been waiting for a few weeks to get it, and it's going to be wonderful now that I won't have to carry around this thing that's off to the side here. I'm not going to have to carry around this gigantic Asus laptop anymore. I've had this since 2015. I think it is the Asus GT, 751JT? I believe that's the model. I'm gonna look on the bottom. Came with Windows 8, that lets you know how old it is. This thing weighs over 10 pounds. It's been a beast to carry around with me on my back, along with everything else that I carry with me. So whenever I travel anywhere in the future, I won't have to worry about having this beast anymore. I'll do some side-by-side comparisons so you can see just how large it is compared to the new laptop that I have off to the side right here in just a bit. But first, I think we're gonna go ahead and do a little unboxing. So now it's time for us to go ahead and open this on up. Now let's turn it around. Oh, there we go. It's exciting. Sorry for the wobble if there's a little wobble in the camera. So, this kind of bubble wrap I've never seen before. I'll put that off to the side here. We have a gaming mouse pad that came with it for free. This is the official CyberPower mouse pad that came with this for free. There's a box inside of a box. This is going to be fun to get out. Alright, we are done with this first box. And now we have a second box here. And this is where the fun really begins. Ow. Oh, that's why that hurts. I just noticed these scissors have that on this side. Why would you do that? You can't use it the way I want to. Alright. Here we go. Inside of this box is box number 3. And this time, there's actually an image of what I have here on box number 3. So this is the CyberPower Tracer 4 Studio Series notebook. And specifically, this is the version 500. All right. Pulling out papers. And here's the information about the limited warranty. Features here for the laptop. And this one here involves a lot more specifications about the computer. And hopefully, I won't need to use it too much, but who knows, there could be some interesting and very useful information in here now that I think about it. But anyways, more foam. Alright, the last thing that was inside the box is the power cable. Wow, that feels hot. The whole thing feels like it's burning. Maybe that's because it was in a UPS truck all day and it's 100 outside. There we are. And last but not least, inside the sleeve here we have the new gaming computer. My beautiful new Tracer. And holy crap, this is almost on fire. Wow. Note to everyone who's out there, if you don't want a burning computer for it to be fried probably by the moment you get it, don't get a computer when it's over 100 outside. I'm going to lift this on up. I'm going to take this off the keyboard, and then at the bottom looks like there is a little plastic tab covering the webcam. You know, one of the funny things about this computer is that this power brick alone that is probably close to the same weight as the computer, at least it feels like it. I don't think I've ever held a computer that was this light before that wasn't a 13-inch. So let's go ahead, clean this thing off, and I'll show more about this computer. So once again, the computer that I have here is the CyberPower Tracer 4 Studio 500. There are plenty of other websites that offer the same Tongfeng Chasis model, such as Electronics, but the reasons that I went specifically for this model is because of the pricing, and also the time when I would be able to get this. When compared to other laptops with the same specifications, this laptop was anywhere between $200 and $400 cheaper than alternatives. One unique feature to the Tracer Studio model, however, was the screen, which is specially designed for video editing. And although the screen is 60Hz, I don't really play any competitive gaming that requires those higher refresh rates, so that's why I ended up with this one. So now, let's go ahead and look at these two computers side by side. As you can see, my Asus laptop is significantly larger than the CyberPower Tracer Studio. And I'll go ahead and flip it so you can see what it looks like from the other side. What I'm going to do now is go over precisely how different these two laptops are from one another. So one thing I thought I'd do first is put this penny next to the Asus laptop just so you can see the size comparison between the Asus and my new laptop. The penny doesn't even make it up halfway. But when you look at the other computer, you can see that the penny actually is almost all the way to the top. So this new computer for 15 inches is also much thinner and lighter. The screen for this computer is 15.5 inches, whereas the Asus laptop is 17, and thankfully this laptop also isn't going to have splotches all over the screen like the one that I currently have does, which will make for a nice little difference as well. On the left side of the Asus laptop there was the SSD reader, also two USB ports, USB 3s, and a Kensington lock, while also having a CD drive. It's really unfortunate, but most laptops that come out these days don't appear to have any CD drives. On the right side, what we have instead is multiple audio ports, then also two more USB 3s, a Thunderbolt port, HDMI, Ethernet, and VGA cable, as well as where the power cord goes in. The back of the laptop includes some vent fans, and these ended up working just fine for me, although I have replaced the hard drive with an SSD a couple years ago. Now looking over at the Tongfeng chassis on my new laptop, this has the mic jack, also the headphone jack, and a USB 3 with a Kensington lock right there on the left. And on the right, we have a micro SSD card reader as well as two USB 3s. The back, however, is a little different in that it has a Thunderbolt 3 port, as well as an HDMI, Ethernet cable port, and where the power cable plugs in. This is the first time that I've had any kind of input that goes into the back of a laptop before. The screen is put together well and does not flex very much, and the lid is not very easy to open with one hand. You may need two to open it like I did here. The keyboard for the laptop is a membrane keyboard instead of a mechanical one, which I actually have a preference for. And at the top right corner of the keyboard, there is the power button and the Q key, which I'll go ahead and talk about a little bit more later. The keyboard also has RGB 4-zone lighting, which you can personally customize however you want. And this is also true for the light bar at the very front of the computer. The keyboard is a little bit on the small side, but easy to get used to. It also is relatively quiet. The camera is located at the bottom of the screen, and it is through this camera that you are able to have facial recognition. This is the first time I've had facial recognition on a laptop, and I had to move the camera over a little bit just so I could get closer to the screen so that the camera would recognize my face to log in. This laptop is powered by the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070 Super, as well as the latest Intel i7 10th generation CPU. And thankfully, in order to keep all of that power cool, there is a lot of air venting going on the bottom for intake, as well as venting on the sides for outflow. And because of all that power, it said that it would take several minutes to start up, but I didn't believe it. It says to expect the setup to take several minutes, but I think it's going to be done pretty quickly. Yep. Upon starting up, one issue I immediately noticed that worried me was there was a white flashing on the screen, and this kind of flashing was something that thankfully went away after I restarted the computer. So although I had this once the computer started up for the first time, it went away after that. Aside from that, there are also two other issues I've had with the laptop so far, which include heating and the fan volume when the fan's on maximum, but it's possible to configure so that you won't have these issues as well. Anyways, once everything was done installing, I transferred all my old files over to this computer and decided I'd go ahead and check out the special features that come with the laptop, such as this, the Gaming Center. The Gaming Center is an app that controls various aspects of the computer and contains 4 different tabs: the Easy Switch, Lighting, Operating Mode, and System Monitor. The first tab, the lighting effect one, is what lets you turn on and off the various color formations that you would want for your keyboard, and it also works for the LED light bar at the front of the laptop as well. The first tab also has various options for visual display, and I keep it on video mode because that's what I like to look at the most. In the second tab, the lighting tab, this is where you're able to configure the various keyboard color combinations as well as lighting combinations. My personal favorite just being the plain, solid color configuration. And the same thing is also true of the LED light bar, which actually has more color zoning than the keyboard itself, and gives you the option to configure up to 7 different colors. Probably the most important aspect of the Gaming Center is actually the operating mode tab, which provides 3 different speeds at which you can choose to operate your computer. The first of which is the office mode, and this is the one where it will run the quietest, but it also won't perform the best for whatever you're trying to do if it consumes a lot of power, such as gaming or video editing. There's also gaming mode, which is the standard one that I recommend everyone go ahead and stay in for most programs that you run on your laptop. You're able to control the various fan speeds, which is a very nice feature that comes with this laptop. And then after that, there is also the turbo mode. Turbo mode runs the hottest. It allows the temperature for the CPU to go the highest. The fans can get very loud, and the computer will also heat up more when you are on this mode. So if you are going to be using turbo mode, the one downside is that the fans are incredibly loud if you're trying to cool off your computer. I'll give you a little sample of what that sounds like here. This is how the computer sounds with the turbo fan boost off, and this is how it sounds with it on. As you can see, it gets very loud, but it's manageable. And you can control switching between these 3 modes via the Q key, which was the one I mentioned before that's next to the power key. And the last tab in the Gaming Center, the System Monitor, is what allows you to look at the performance of your computer at the moment. So whether that is your processor, your graphics card, or the overall temperatures of the machine, you're able to look at that through the Gaming Center when you are in the System Monitor mode. It's handy but not really needed because you have other programs in your computer that naturally you can use to look at all of this as well. Now let's go ahead and see how it performs in tests. In order to test the performance of the CPU, I performed a Geekbench 5 test, and the results are as you see here, with a single core score of 1243 and a multi-core score of 7646. This meant it was performing above expectations and higher than the benchmarks that were shown on Geekbench, which makes me really happy. I also did a 3D Mark test, first with TimeSpy, and this is what allowed me to see how the graphics card performs in 1440p. And the results were a score of 8481, and the graphics card specifically was 8310, which is an okay score, pretty good, not as high as I'd like. Then I moved on to Firestrike tests, which are for 1080p, and I did both the extreme test and the normal 1080p test, and the results were as follows. For the Firestrike extreme test, my results were 10041 with a graphical score of 10375, and then for the normal Firestrike score, it was 19,075 with a graphical score of 21,943, a physics score of 21,704, and a combined score of 8824. So what does all that mean? Well, when you look at the benchmarks provided on Notebook Check, then you look at what I had for my RTX 2070 Super, you can see that it's actually performing a little bit underneath and in between some of the numbers for the lower 2070 Super model, but ultimately it is still performing well and worth the price because it is performing better than the 2080 Max-Q, which is what you'd at least hope with this system. Considering that the wattage for the GPU is 115, which is higher than what you get with the 2080 Max-Q model. So it seems that this laptop is going to be performing very well for all the different things I want to do, whether it's gaming or video editing, since it's much lighter, and this system is going to be much more portable since it's a 15-inch laptop rather than a 17-inch one, so it'll fit in a lot more backpacks that I lug around with me wherever I travel. And overall, I don't think that I could be happier with this laptop, except for maybe it not heating up quite so much. However, whenever the thermals get too high, I am able to cool it down with the fans on max. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief review of the laptop that I got and my unboxing portion of the video, and I hope to see you come back for all the videos I will be making in the future on this laptop. Goodbye! Thank you again for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Also, please share this channel with others so we can make the channel grow together as I continue to put out more videos.